Well, hello and welcome to the Brian HORNBACK podcast. This is episode 31. It's been a little while, been a little bit more than a week since we had our first guest. That was about a week ago this past Friday, and that was episode 30. If you didn't listen to that episode, you need to listen to that one. That was our first guest. That was Senator Marsha Blackburn, the Republican. You know, one thing I forgot to do on that podcast in introducing Senator Blackburn was to recognize and speak to her as the senior senator from Tennessee. She is the senior senator from Tennessee because she has been there longer than Bill Hagerty. And so she is the senior senator by when Lamar Alexander retired. Anyway, forgot that, but we'll have her on again in the near future. And just want to get on here and kind of talk about what's going on locally and let you know what's been going on since that podcast. And an interesting interaction I had in Memphis recently. But let's talk about what's going on locally. A lot of things. Obviously, Austin East, as we've talked about, there was 5 teenagers so far in this year. We're now in the early part of May of 2021. 5 high school students associated with the Austin East High School in East Knoxville that have been tragically killed or died. All of them been killed. But the last one, the 5th one, was Anthony Thompson Jr. He died in the restroom of Austin East High School with some KPD officers had gone to talk to him about a situation. He had a weapon in his hoodie, in the front pouch of his hoodie, and the gun went off, and he was shot twice by a Knoxville police officer and lost his life. So that's going on. The Knoxville, so the school board had been talking about potentially, revisiting the MOA. Some people, it's really weird because it's called an MOU and then it's called an MOA. So it's a memorandum of understanding or a memorandum of agreement. And so the big deal on that is that it's a memorandum of agreement between the Knox County School System, the Knoxville Police Department, and the Knox County Sheriff's Office. And what that is this noise that you're hearing is my dog getting a treat. Y'all have heard him on here before. So that in that memorandum of understanding or memorandum of agreement, depending on what term they're using, what it says is that the Knoxville Police Department will assist, and the officers, they will assist in providing security to the schools inside the city of Knoxville. And that is 14 schools inside the city of Knoxville. And then the memorandum of agreement, same memorandum of agreement, same memorandum of understanding, applies to the Knox County Sheriff's Office, and they supply a SRO, a school resource officer, to all the county schools. There's about 89 to 90 schools in Knox County. 14 of those are city. The rest of them are in the county. And so the difference in an SRO and an SSO are that the SSO works for the Knox County Schools Security Division. There is a security division within the schools itself, and those officers are bonded through the Knox County Sheriff's Office, but they're not post-certified. Post-certified is the peace officer standards training Those are officers that have gone on to the police academy, primarily, as I understand it, in Middle Tennessee, but they're post-certified, okay? There's a possibility, I could be misunderstanding or not completely knowledgeable on this fact, but it's possible that they could be post-certified through the Knox County training program. But anyway, to be post-certified, I believe you have to go to the police training in Nashville, and it's an extensive program. Anyway, so the difference is SSO are officers that work for the school system in the school system security department. SROs are school resource officers who work for KPD or the Knox County Sheriff's Office and who assist during the school day and during school functions. When they're not, like in the summer, when the SROs are not needed in the schools or at the schools, then they're used in other areas within the department. That's the nuts and bolts, as I understand it, of the difference in the SSO, SRO. Now, the school system, obviously, because of what happened with Anthony Thompson Jr., wanted to revisit the memorandum of agreement with in particular KPD, but also bring in the Sheriff's Department. And because what's happened is the last time that MOA was discussed or approved was in was in 2019. And basically KPD, the Sheriff's Department, and the district attorney came to the schools and said, you need to approve this MOA. And there wasn't much discussion. And the memorandum of agreement was approved, and so that has not been revisited since 2019. So the school system, or the school board members, in particular Daniel Watson, and I believe Ebony Satterfield joined him on that, wanted to review it, discuss it with the entities involved. And I guess in response to that, Knoxville Mayor India Kincannon issued a directive that beginning on June the 12th, KPD would withdraw from those 14 schools inside the city. That met with some folks in the Austin East area in East Knoxville. We're very glad. There were other folks in the city that felt like that was not a good decision. Ultimately, Mayor Kincannon then came out and said that really her intent, and also Chief Eve Thomas, they say that their intent was to pull them out so that there could be a community discussion. And so apparently that's going to happen at some time in the near future, and I'll cover that when it happens. So that's kind of what's happened on that front between the school system and the city of Knoxville and the Knox County. The mayor, both mayors have presented their budgets. Both the city council and the county commission are going through the process of going through the budget process approval. I attended the first county commission budget hearing where there was a lot of questions asked of the sheriff. I'm still going to be fine-tuning through that budget hearing occurred on May the 10th. And for those of you that are following this in real time, that was yesterday. And so some of those videos are already up on brianhornback.com. And so I'll be fine-tuning some of that discussion and asking some questions. So what the county mayor has proposed is for the Knox County Sheriff's Office officers to get a 5% pay increase. He says that he's proposed a right at a 4% increase for the Knox County school employees. He's offered a 2% and I believe a step raise for the other county employees. But he's also going to those employees that park at either the White Castle garage or the City County building garage. their parking is going to be subsidized or provided for them free. That's about right at a $50 benefit back into their pocket. So that's some benefits for the county employees. There's some things going on with the Parks and Recreation Department. If you follow BrianHornback.com, you've seen that. Found out that a 30-year former director has retired. There was no fanfare of his retirement. There was no announcement that he was retiring. He just, I asked the question, that I had gotten some folks talking and telling me that he hadn't been there, that his office was cleaned out. So I asked the question, and they just simply tell me that after 30 years, he's retired. Typically, when somebody retires after 30 years, they have a reception, they have something going, happening to honor somebody for 30 years of service. That didn't happen. There's still an investigation going on. There's a lot of things that have happened in Parks and Recreation the last couple of years. You can kind of follow that on BrianHornback.com. There's an interim director who's a female. Shauna is her first name. And apparently she's not going to be the full-time director. If you'll remember, back in 2020, Mayor Jacobs terminated the services of the former director of Parks and Recreation, the one that he brought in when he became mayor in 2018. And so they're going to be bringing in a gentleman, a man, is what Dwight Vandevate, the guy who works for County Mayor Glenn Jacobs, has said. It's going to be a man. He's going to start on July the 6th, and hopefully there's going to be an introduction in June at either the County Commission work session or the County Commission meeting, so the commissioners can introduce him. It brings up a whole question of gender diversity to me. You really don't have a lot of female department heads in the county, and there's never really been a lot of department heads in the county that have been women. But you had one that was good enough to be your interim director, but you're not going to make her your director. That really begs the question, what happened there? So, be digging into that a little bit in the near future. The interesting thing is that evidently the public really doesn't care about their county budget because I really tried to get the word out that if you had comments about anything in the county or anything in the county budget, part of this first budget hearing was to get public input. Only one person came and spoke, and he really talked about the health department and how the health department lost 900 COVID vaccines, and just wanted the commissioners to understand that people are still watching, and that he wants to ensure that is ultimately that investigation is ultimately brought to a conclusion. One of the commissioners asked Mr. Parton, who's the finance guy for the health department, when that investigation is going to be completed. It's supposed to be completed within the next few weeks. So when that investigation is completed, we'll report that back out via BrianHornback.com, and we'll talk about it too on the podcast. The sheriff had asked in his budget request to the county mayor for an 8% increase for his officers. He got a 5% increase in the mayor's proposed budget. He went back to commission yesterday on May the 10th and is asking for that additional 3%. That additional 3% equals, and that's for captains and below. So that additional 3% is estimated to cost about $900,000. It's about $300,000. If you do the simple math, it's about $300,000 per one step for those officers who are captain or below. It did not appear from what I saw that the commissioners were inclined to support that. another thing that I'll be digging into in the budget is the fact that the mayor has given approval for 22 new cars for the sheriff's department. My understanding is there are 24 new cars that are still sitting over there that haven't been assigned yet. So the question is, why do you need 46 new cars? The other question that I need to ask the finance director, Chris Caldwell, is you have 22 new cars that you're going to buy this year for the sheriff's department, and you're putting those in the capital plan. You know, in my mind, a capital plan is a bricks and mortar capital plan. A car that may or may not get wrecked, in my mind, is not a really capital investment, because it could fall apart on a chase. It could fall apart. It's depreciable, and it might not last more than 3 weeks. It may not last more than 1 day. When you're out running cars at 90 miles an hour, 100 miles an hour, supposedly tracking down the bad guys. So that's another question that will come up. Again, we're still following this grievance hearing that's going on with the Mayor Council. It's gotten put off again. The Martha Dooley grievance hearing has now been put off to the middle of July. I'm sorry, not the middle of July, put off to the end of July. There's another grievance hearing scheduled for August 30th on Scott Moore, and then there'll be another grievance hearing more than likely that will follow after that. It appears that there's outside legal counsel that's representing. We know that there's outside legal counsel representing the sheriff on the Martha Dooley case. That same lawyer was there when they set the case on August 30th for Scott Moore, and that same attorney was responsive to when they talked about the case of Ivan Harmon. So again, you've got 3 attorneys currently working for the sheriff. You have Chief Rubel, you have Butch Bryant, and you have the former district attorney Randy Nichols, who are actually employees of the Knox County Sheriff's Office. You also have 9 or 10 employees up in the Knox County Law Department on the 6th floor of the City County building. And why are we paying somebody to be outside counsel? It's still questionable. And so I'll be digging into that a little bit more, trying to find out where that's coming from, because I have sources that tell me that the law director has said he's not paying for outside counsel on the Merit Council anymore. And so the question is, where's that money coming out of from the Sheriff's Department? Found out yesterday in the first budget hearing that the sheriff has a salary study going on with somebody called the Evergreen Group. Going to be looking into that, looking into how much that's cost and what budget line item that's coming out of the sheriff's office, because I don't think the way the commissioners responded, one, they wanted to know when the last salary study was done. It was done in 2016 or 17. Now they're doing another one, so the commissioners weren't really aware of when the last one was done. So the likelihood is that if they approved, they should have known that they had approved one that's going on now. So again, I apologize that it's been about a week and a half since the last podcast. I'm going to try to get caught up here in the next couple of days. I still want to tell you about what all happened in Memphis. Some great historical interaction that somebody I met. It was really just kind of a fluke. We'd gone down there for a long time family friend for a lifetime event, and while I had a little bit of extra time, I went to take a picture of myself with a historical building, and happened to run into somebody that that has some historical significance. And again, the conversation was brief. I was not able to audio or video record a conversation because that's kind of how the person wanted it. I did ask about interviewing them. They didn't want it because they've done extensive interviews in the past. And so when it does get, when the story does get put up on brianhornback.com, I will link to some of those YouTubes because I have found those, and the person does have a website. But just the timing was perfect. I really didn't intend to go on the Memphis trip with my wife. It was just kind of a last minute thing. I just decided I want to get out of town for a couple of days. So I rode along. And so it was just one of those things that, you know, it was a God thing, really. Being able to be within 6 feet of someone who has historical significance to what's going on in our country today. So I'll tease that because I really want you to come back. I want you to, if you've not listened to the last 30 episodes, I want you to listen to them. And obviously I want you to check brianhornback.com out on a regular basis. But with that, I'm going to conclude episode 31. Thank you for those of you that are following me and those of you that listen. Share this with your friends. If you're following me on YouTube, give it a link, give it a share, give it a like. If you're on any of the podcast streams, then share it. I'm on Twitter at @Omega_Bullhorn or on Twitter at Brian Hornback. I'm on Instagram at brianhornback.com. Spell it out DOTCOM. brianhornback.com. DOTCOM. I think that's about it. But check us out on YouTube. Check us out on most all the podcast streams. And thanks for listening. Have a great day.